Welcome to On the Chain. Good morning, good night. What is going on, everybody? We got a lot of great things to talk about. One thing that we are going to start with, well, I shouldn't say the one thing. Let me
a lot of things.
Let me clarify this, Chip. We've got there's the Flare airdrop that we've discussed. Delegate and earn more Flare. I think people are up to tune on that. A lot of discussion over Flare, but the big news in this space here is that the Financial Services Committee has now appointed a brand new subcommittee and a brand new chair of this subcommittee that will be focused on regulatory clarity for crypto. So we're going to discuss that. This is big news because as we've been leading up, Chip, to the last election cycle, we said when the red team takes the House, we're going to see immediate action in this space. And we have. Now, the other big question that we want to unpack today is the SEC helping big banks take over the crypto markets by demoralizing them? That's an interesting one. Hopefully we can get to it. I don't know if that's a discussion or a statement.
If we don't get this thing open, I think we're going to get to the show. So we have to start somewhere. Let's get going.
There is no show.
You ready?
Let's do it.
Welcome to On the Chain.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. It's the Blockchain Backer.
No,
it's a different show. Blockchain Backer. By the way, so speaking of that, Jeff, so I was on a Spaces last night with David Schwartz, Crypto Eddie. Bob Way put it together. It was 3 hours long. It was fantastic. So much was shared. Blockchain Backer was there as well. XRPP was there. And I thanked him by saying, thank you, XRPP, but I spelled P-E-E. Because one of the funny things that happened was when they requested, XRPP requested to get Blockchain Backer up to the stage to talk. He said, "Can we bring Blockchain Backer up?" And Bob Way was like, "Yeah, we can bring Bitcoin Backer up." So that was like kind of the funny thing, the Bitcoin Backer. And I think Crypto Eddie was called Crypto Siri or something like that. There was some weird thing going on like that. But anyway, I did get to talk to David Schwartz, which was cool. I jumped in and basically asked him, like, what would you do? You know, and I'm like, "Hey, David, it's Chip from the On the Chain podcast." He's like, "Oh, hi." And I had said something to the effect of, you know, what would you have done different? Like if you were running Flare, how would it have gone in the beginning? How would that have...
Wait. Yeah. So the first question that you asked him was about Flare and wasn't, "Hey, David."
No, because
the first time I've had to talk to you in person. When are you coming on the chain?
No, man, because I don't want to be... The thing about it is I don't want to be too promotional. I just wanted to get my question in, because if I do that, then he stopped. Then he like ignores my question, and then I'm done. So that's kind of like, yeah. And that was rolling around in my head. Like, "Hey, it's Chip from the On the Chain podcast." Like, dude, when are you coming on the podcast? I didn't really want to go there, to be honest with you. But
I'm like, dude, what the hell?
Dude, what the hell, man? But he got into a question, and I asked him, and I said, okay, so and kind of what he said was, he was trying to warn Flare to not make some of the early mistakes that Ripple made by doing giveaways and by doing, you know, he says, look, a lot of the mistakes, try to warn them, you know, to say, like, don't repeat some of the paths that we went down. And I kind of brought it down to, well, I guess what you're saying is it's kind of human nature. No matter what we try to do a little bit differently, that human nature kind of goes back. And he said, yeah, hubris, human nature. Yeah, it kind of always rolls there. And then later in the podcast, I had jumped in and I had made a point, because a lot of people in there were just so like mad about the whole thing. I'm not getting my Flare tokens and the exchanges and blah, blah, blah. So I kind of made a counter argument, like, guys, are we interested in the success of Flare as a network, or are we looking for just enriching ourselves? Like, I get it, like things change, but I said, you know, when you have a startup, and I've been there before in startup world, you try to do everything right, Jeff. But so what? It doesn't always work out. And like along the way, you've got to basically pivot. You've got to figure out, because what Flare started out with is an idea about maybe smart contracts, and how it's gotten to with layer cake and interoperability. It's changed, and it has the possibility to be massive. But if we have a bunch of people belly aching about, you know, my Flare and everything, and, you know, Hugo's doing it the right way. He's putting out a proposal out there, and he's going to let you vote on it. So if you want to vote yes, vote yes. If you don't want to vote yes, if you want to vote no, vote no. So people throwing in the towel already, And I thought it was interesting that when I was talking like that, Jeff, you could hear a pin drop. There wasn't any emojis flying. It wasn't like yes, no, down, not. It was just like quiet. Like sometimes you expect a little bit of feedback. That's exactly what it felt like being up there. But ultimately, it was a really great space. Bob Way was great. But so something else that I sent a tweet out just a little bit ago, commending Bob Way on the amazing space that he put together, because there was so much great chatter and people that I'd never heard speak before really enjoyed it.
That's awesome. That's really cool. That's really cool. And I was really hoping the end result of all that is that we'd be able to announce that next week David Schwartz coming on the chain. But
come on, man.
You know the thing.
You know the thing.
You know the thing.
It's so
hey,
funny.
Everybody. Go ahead.
Bidenism has become our new thing. Come on, man. You know the thing, Jeff.
You know that thing. It's in my garage next to my Corvette. You know the thing.
You know what they're calling it now, Jeff? What do they call it? They have like some, they have Mar-a-Lago. They're calling it like Garage-a-Lago or something like that. It's some funny thing. And there's somebody put a picture up there. It was like a bunch of boxes in the background of the garage. It's
he probably has the boxes stacked on top of the Corvette. I don't see him driving his Corvette anytime soon. But hey, Chip, I want to give everyone out there a shout out. Anybody that's in the chat right now, give a shout out to where you guys are tuning in from. And also just want to run through some quick comments from the space before we from the viewers here before we get going. Deop Trader. It's really cool to see people that we haven't seen commenting before. And all of a sudden it's like, Deop Trader was #1 in the chat. Morning from Toronto. JD has to be a prophet. Look
That's
at
where,
I don't know.
That's where Baba Cugs is. He's in Baba
Toronto
Cugs world. Yeah.
That's right. Then we've got Tune to Key. Oh, yeah. I'm up for On the Chain Live. There we go. May Gary Gensler wake up this morning with mud, butt, and regret in his heart. Matthew Zero. Anybody have any idea when Coinbase will release the Flare token? Then there's some commentary on that. We got SoFlo Crypto, got Laurel Missick. It is freezing down here, and Alan up in Central Florida. It's 41. That's crazy.
It was 43 here this morning.
It was chilly. Hans Loaded said he listened all the entire thing that the space is.
Wait a minute. Wait. Just back that up. There you go. Let's read the whole comment there. Okay. It was good. At times it was good. It's like, yeah, I listened to the spaces next. Dude, that was like the part about it, man. Thank you, Hans.
Chip did great.
That's our producer though, but that's, it might be a little biased, but that's okay. I'll take it. It's good. Love it.
Anybody have a replay of the link from the spaces?
Unfortunately. And so
they don't get recorded, right?
No, the thing about it is, and this is what I tweeted to Elon Musk, like, hey, so when you create a brand new one, and people are like, Bob, how come you didn't record it? And Bob doesn't know how to record. Dude, I don't know how to record a spaces. So if you don't hit the button, I mean, can you imagine this live stream right now? Like if you're on the rewatch and Jeff and I had to go in every day and click the record button so that it would actually be on YouTube. It's a ridiculous idea, right? So why do you have to do the same thing? And it's like, so Bob Way has this awesome space. Why doesn't Bob Way have a channel of his spaces? Like, hey, let's go check out all the Bob Way spaces that he's hosted. And Bob Way did an amazing job last night. I was really impressed with, and he ran it really well. For somebody that didn't do that, he was very diplomatic and ran it like a phenomenal host. So
we're gonna have to try and dabble in an interesting spaces one day in the future.
You want to do that?
Nash Caster. I don't know. This is. So Nash Carter, so this is in regards to Flare, and it's interesting too because as you look at all these projects, now these guys put themselves out there about 3 years ago, a lot of hype over the Flare token, and then it detracted a lot of focus from the building of the company. And Chip, like you said, everyone's so focused on the free money, but not so focused on what these guys actually are up to. But at the same time, if these guys can get through this, I mean, they're getting so much negativity. If you can overcome the negativity and actually have a project of real value, think about how it's going to make them stronger. They're going to finally, learn some of the lessons and not repeat them. And Nash Carter really said, shake out the cobwebs. And that's the whole point of David Schwartz mentioning that as well, Chip, when he's saying, hey, you know what, try to learn from our mistakes, learn from your mistakes, learn from past mistakes. And we'll see. Yeah. I'm still excited about the Flare project in general. What they're offering to the space is really going to be monumental. Now we just have to see if it's going to be real. Let's see it start rolling out. Forget the airdrop. Airdrop, hey, it's free. Put it in the background. It's part of their system. They wanted to get it out to the people. They said, hey, let's do it. I think they created way too much hype over it early on, and we talked about that before. Then they launched the Songbird. There was a lot of negativity over that. Again, it was their test bed. Let them test their solution. If they're going to give something free and it's going to roll out there, take your Flare token, move it over to Bifrost, wrap it, delegate it, and then forget about it. And that's it.
Well said, Jeff. Well said. And for the future of what we're doing and what we want to create, again, I get it. It's free and people like Flare, drops and stuff. And people are disappointed what happened with Coinbase. And one of the things I brought up last night about Coinbase was, look, a lot of the exchanges, when they said, would they do it? There's a really good tweet from that I think we'll unpack a little bit here from Santiago Velez. I think it's from him, but he was saying that, one of the great strategies that was employed here, and you got to think about this from a company perspective, is that you say, look, for 3 years, you're going to get fees if people were to sell or buy or whatever with the token, right? And also it would get that token listed, because part of the problem is you come out with a brand new token, good luck. And you've seen Dirk from Xspector, the founder of Xspector. By the way, Dirk will be here tomorrow night. Okay, I just want to announce that right here. But he's done a phenomenal job, and his team rolling out the his Xspector token. But it's hard to get it out there. So now all these exchanges. Now Coinbase said that they would support Flare, as many others did. Okay, there is some development work that goes into it. Does it benefit them? Is there going to be enough fees to offset it? Who knows, really? But the bottom line is they agreed to support the Flare token. Now Songbird comes out like, this is what it is for a startup to pivot, to say, hey, before we go release this, if it's disastrous, our project's over. So let's do a test net. Let's do the Songbird. Let's release it. And then, so you got another free token. Now, at one point, it was worth a lot more money. A lot of people did sell off, but at least you got to see what it was like to delegate and what it was like to get rewards. So we got to experience exactly how that worked, Jeff? So I think it wasn't all that bad, but, then everyone's like, Coinbase didn't give my Songbird tokens. Well, they said they would support Flare. And then when you roll halfway, you change the game halfway up. And, and before you even get there, it's not Coinbase's fault. I don't care if you guys like Coinbase, hate Coinbase. Coinbase said they would support this. As I understand it, they haven't as of yet, but I believe they're going to. So exchanges don't have time to worry about taking your token and what are they going to do with it, and are they going to sell it?
About some free airdrops. It's not in Coinbase's purview. If they want to do it, they want to do it. If not, they don't do it. But if they tell everybody during the hype of it, hey, we are participating in this airdrop, just make sure your XRP is here for the snapshot, and then they don't do it, then you have a major issue. Because they're telling people specifically that they're going to participate so that they move their XRP over to their wallet on Coinbase specifically, for those snapshots. But if it doesn't happen, then they'll be held accountable accordingly for maybe misleading their people. So Steve brings up some good points here. I think because of the lawsuit, we're just looking for some positive things to happen, and Flare was that positivity. So it's been one more thing that's disappointing, but Joni and I are hanging in there. And it is true. It's like, hey, they got so much hype. So I think that was the downside of it. They put so much hype into the airdrop, and then there was nothing. Right. And they got the whole community hyped up. You're getting, and then nothing. Well, Jeff, and I think people are like, hey, don't say anything, but at this point, the focus shouldn't be on the airdrop. It needs to be on what these guys are going to be doing on the XRPL to further benefit the crypto space at large, and to see more utility, something that's interoperable as well, because they're running EVM, they're going to be running and interoperable with the Ethereum smart contracts and other smart contracts. And they're bringing in, they started out with, a handful of assets, and we're going to see that Flare takes the space. If they fulfill what they've set out to fulfill, it's going to be a game changer. We're going to hear Ethereum. You're going to hear a lot of talk in the back end about Flare and what they're going to be able to accomplish. And that's the exciting part about this, because we can look at short-term gain, which is an airdrop, or we can look at the long-term benefit of the crypto space at large, because we're still in the I don't even know if we're in toddler stage yet. Let's say we're in toddler stage. We're 10 years into this thing, 11 years into this thing. So
yeah,
10 years from now, is anybody going to look back when Flair's crushing it, in the back end to support the entire ecosystem, and XRP is moving all over the place and all these assets are tied into smart? Are people going to look back and say, damn, they really screwed up with the airdrop? Now, if the Flair valuation is like $1,000 a Flair token, then people are going to look back and be like, damn, that I could have had all that Flair token. Or it could be worth zero. That's the whole point.
Yeah, that's well said, Jeff. And look at Mr. Miguel Castillo says, don't stake your Flair in exchanges. Some are offering only 7% APY, and you can earn 54% if you delegate your Flair. And that's a good point too. But
a really good point.
But if an exchange wants to say, I'll be honest with you, Jeff, might be a little embarrassing to say. I haven't done anything with my Flair yet. Everyone's like, dude, people had that thing, that thing dropped, and they're like, I'm delegating, and that's cool. But the bottom line for me is, I just don't really. I will do that. I'll get around to it. I've just been busy, doing a podcast, my family, things that are really important to me. And so that just kind of fell down a little bit. It's like, okay, cool. That's great. But I'm more interested in Flair as a whole. We just said, I was like, hey, where is this going? What's possible? Early days, they talked about, Bitcoin and let's say Dogecoin and having some real utility, and that's what we talk about on the chain. We talk about projects that have utility and do something that's going to change the face of what it is. And that on that chain, that blockchain interoperability is huge. So I think we've said enough on the subject. But don't worry, we'll wait, Jeff. There's more. Yeah. There's more. We have more stuff to get into, but let's get into.
There's Jeff, a lot more. I want you to get into Delegate, by the way.
Okay, good for you. What I'd like you to do is jump into this next exciting story, because I think that we talked about the red team. Let's jump into that.
Yeah, let me pull it up. Hang on a second.
So this is good news, guys. So when we're thinking about what's good news, what's bad news, I think this is pretty good news. I mean, Jeff and I are in the same camp on this one, but if you can pull this up, and the red team, we were promised a new day. That's what Tom Emmer said. There's a new day coming, sir. And that happened a little later. It didn't exactly happen on the 3rd like we thought, because we had to wait for a speaker. But what happened waiting for that speaker is monumental. And I don't know if people realize the magnitude of that holdout, but it's going to benefit everybody, not only in the U.S., but I think as a whole.
Well said. Well said. And we're in for a treat. We're definitely in for a treat. The next a couple months are just, everything's going into hyper mode right now, and you're going to see a lot of people held accountable for their bad actions. Now that the red team is in charge of the House, being able to reassign chairs of all of these different committees. The one committee that we talk a lot about is the Financial Services Committee, and as we know, Maxine Waters used to be the chair of the Financial Services Committee, but that is no longer the case.
Oh, no, Jeff, say it's not true. Are you telling me that? Wait a minute. Are you telling me that Maxine Waters is no longer chairing that committee with all those crypto bills getting stuck in there? I have one thing to say.
Yay! And so. So this is great too. We're not going to play this video because we're going to go through the article, and then we're going to look at who has now been appointed in this 118th Congress as the subcommittee to the Financial Services Committee. But I thought that this was like an appropriate image to look at here because of the statement that they put here. So first, House Republicans launching digital asset subcommittee after troubled year for cryptocurrency. Now, think of years absolutely battering the crypto market, right? They've been going after it. Elizabeth Warren and the rest of them going after the crypto markets, going and allowing Gary Gensler free reign to do whatever he wants to do, to say whatever he wants to say, while at the same time there have been bills over the past years that have been, that have promoted the Token Taxonomy Act, etc. The Financial Services Committee is where every single crypto bill has gone to die. So just so you guys know, the Financial Services Committee is the epicenter. Under Maxine Waters' tutelage, she crushed every possible pro-crypto legislation. And yes, she is a member of the blue team. Now the red team has taken over, and the 118th Congress is now in session with a brand new speaker, and they are now assigning and appointing chairs of subcommittees, etc. So here you go. House Republicans launching digital asset subcommittee. This is exciting. Now, the reason why I wanted to highlight this here, Senator Warren's crypto surveillance proposal raises privacy concerns. Really? If you didn't know that already, the red team is more interested in taking and undermining your ability to earn, whereas we're seeing the exact opposite. And so the crypto market has to be allowed to flourish. Right, Chip?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
So here, I should have brought this up in a different browser because we get to look at this cool Trust Your Home to Schlage. And this cool here, look at this. Noosa Pure, cardiovascular and immune health.
We're not supposed to read it, Jeff. Just like look at the side.
I'm reading the stuff that you're not supposed to read.
You're giving it even more.
You know that thing.
We know the thing. We all know the thing.
Republicans on the Financial House Services Committee announced Thursday, that they are launching a new subcommittee after a troubled year. Okay, so Rep. French Hill, a Republican of Arkansas, will serve as the inaugural chairman of the subcommittee. And here it is, Subcommittee on Digital Assets, Financial Technology, and Inclusion. Boom! So there's a huge effort, a huge push to allow for there to be clarity and normalcy within the digital asset markets, not to crush it, not to enforce it through litigation, the way Gary Gensler wants it to be done. At a time of major technological advancement and change in the financial sector, it is our job to work across the aisle and promote responsible innovation while encouraging fintech innovation to flourish safely and effectively in the United States. Yay. And that's French Hill. What kind of statement is that, Chip? That's the most negative statement I've ever read.
Yeah, it's yeah, I mean, but when we think about what's going on here, it was a little bit of a surprise to see French Hill nominated. But interestingly enough, Jeff, his background, he did work in the Bush administration and Treasury. He also was a founder of a bank, so he's kind of an ex-banker. And if you think about it, having somebody who's ex-banker and very pro crypto kind of is very counter to what we've seen before with what's going on with the OCC and them sort of walking back. What Brooks originally put in place was the ability for banks to custody crypto. And so now we have somebody who's an ex-banker who's super pro crypto and leading the charge on this committee. And he's also a former financial services committee. But again, as the red team, not making too much of an impact. But go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, so this as you're mentioning, this is his background. So prior to being in Congress as a congressional representative, he was in Arkansas. Worked there for about 20 years as a commercial banker and investment manager. Here you go. He was founder, chairman, and chief executive officer of Delta Trust and Banking Corp, which was headquartered in Little Rock and merged with Arkansas-based Simmons First National. So I know you guys are probably thinking, hey, how is it that we're going to have a banker now chairing the subcommittee on cryptocurrency? And that's a good question, because as we know, there's some concern about, is the banking industry, the financial institution lobby, are they trying to undermine the crypto markets? And under the SEC chair Gensler, obviously, we definitely see that kind of approach where he is trying to undermine, and we don't know what his exact motivation is, other than you can see through his action that he's trying to undermine to support his buddies over in, the banking lobby or the financial institution lobby as they try to batter down the crypto markets. Now, here you take someone, Chip, that has experience on that side of it, but is also now chairing a committee. And you saw that statement that he made, right?
Yep.
This statement is huge because he's looking at innovation. How do we allow innovation to flourish here in the U.S.? How do we build more? How do we create more jobs in the U.S. in this industry when we're crushing it and demoralizing it and pushing it all overseas? And that's his focus. He wants responsible innovation and fintech innovation that will flourish not in another country, but here in the U.S.
Exactly. And I think the positive developments and what we've been waiting for. And look, Jeff and I, just like everybody from afar, have been cheering this on. But look, a lot of responsibility there. Are you gonna step up and do what you said you were going to do? Or we're going to hold them responsible. Look, I don't care, red team, blue team. You either do what you said you're going to do, or you don't, and we hold you responsible. And we jump on you and say, hey, you said this, and this doesn't look like what you said. So I think a lot of that has to see how it's going to pan out. But I like it. I want to show a tweet here after you go ahead and take that comment.
All right, and I want to summarize this real quick as who the chair is, because there's a statement from him as well. So, and then we'll go to your tweet. But this one's from Steve Gobertson. Love it. Banker who's pro crypto, Ripple has crypto, is pro banks, and this is really important. And now, just to finalize, this whole thought on what's happening right now at the Financial Services Committee, McHenry is now the chairman of the House Financial Services Committee. That's Patrick McHenry from North Carolina. And here's his statement. And this is huge. But here first with Hill, his full statement that he had here. I'm delighted that in the 118th Congress, I'll serve in the pioneering role of the chairman of the subcommittee on digital asset, financial tech, and inclusion of the House Financial Services Committee. Since joining Congress in 2014, I've been a member of this committee and am humbled to continue this important work after having led 2 subcommittees, as well as the task force on financial technology and artificial intelligence. So this guy has been in the know and has been working in this area at a time of major tech advancement and change in the financial sector. It's our job to work across the aisle. We read all that. And then he says here, I also am proud to serve as the vice chair of the House Financial Services Committee and look forward to supporting Chairman McHenry in our work to promote economic prosperity and deliver on our commitment to America. And if you think about that statement in contrast to under Maxine Waters, now McHenry comes out and his statement, I'm proud to announce Congressman French Hill as the chairman of Congress's first ever digital asset subcommittee and vice chair of the full committee. First ever digital asset subcommittee. I mean, this is so big.
Huge, man.
This is probably one of the biggest moves that we've seen at this point, and this is what we've been alluding to. And so now following this forward is going to be amazing. Here's his final statement. As a former community banker and U.S. Treasury official, Congressman Hill has the experience and expertise necessary to tackle this challenging undertaking. French is a team player, which is one of the reasons why there's no one I trust more with one of my top priorities. Fintech, particular digital assets, holds immense promise as a tool to build a more inclusive financial system. I look forward to working with him to provide clear rules of the road for this ecosystem that protect consumers while allowing innovation to thrive here in the U.S. Dude, this is by far, this is amazing. I mean,
let's let them get off their behinds. Okay.
Exactly.
And let's let them
take it.
And just look, this is going to be real simple. Here's how it goes. Hi, my name's French Hill. We've got the token taxonomy. Get it out of the committee, vote on it, put it on the floor, voted. That's the direction we should take. Don't sit there and BS around this thing and have a meeting to talk about a meeting, a discussion to talk about a discussion. Get the token taxonomy. Go ahead, pass it in the House, get it up to the Senate. And then if it gets vetoed, then you know exactly who hates innovation and who's not rooting for innovation. However, this is probably one of the most common ground we're going to find when we talk about bipartisanship. And I think that messing around with the subcommittee and to talk about, no, man, get the token taxonomy, pass it. Now imagine if this thing gets out of the committee, gets a vote in the House, it passes, goes to the Senate, goes to the president, potentially gets signed, Ripple case done. All of it done. Clarity, rules of the road, SEC does not have anything to do with it. And we're more akin to what's happening in other countries. And I think that's the best way to travel here. I want to throw this up here because Tyler, this is how out of control the SEC is. Tyler Winklevoss said it's disappointing the SEC chose to file an action today. That was the other day against Gemini and other creditors working hard to recover funds. So here these guys are working their behinds off, their asses off, trying to get funds and recover them. And the SEC is hitting them with an action. Why? Because they were providing staking. So this is absolutely what's wrong. And who is getting crushed again? The retail investor. don't worry about the institutional investors. They're always protected, right? They're always going to be protected. He said the action does nothing to further efforts to help earn users. That was what the program they ran. You could earn staking, whatever. And the behavior is totally counterproductive. I couldn't agree with them more. I just answered that tweet and said the SEC is out of control. We need congressional hearings. Warren Davidson and Rep. Tom Emmer. And then so Tracer HP said, "Have you seen Congress?" So I said, "Well, the House GOP members, the red team aims to abolish the IRS and eliminate federal income tax." Is that, I don't know, House passes a bill banning exports of reserve oil to overseas, to a particular country. House passes a bill annexing $72 billion in funding for 87,000 new IRS agents. And for the first time ever, and man, I have one of the greatest CPAs and everything, but it's like getting hit with, oh, maybe you didn't do this right in your taxes. Man, everything I do is like, dotting I's, crossing T's. And this is what it is. So the shakedown and crushing of the citizens, if you don't think they hate you, they hate you. 87,000 new agents to go there and nickel dime people that already have high inflation, and usually, yeah, is there going to be something that slips through? Yeah, but to sit there and put the thumb on the throat of everybody is absolutely insane to me. So I said, hey, is this good or not? This is a pretty good start. Would you think, Jeff? I know they haven't voted on this one yet, but this is also in there. Get rid of this because they have a flat tax plan. And if you whether you're pro or against it, the flat tax, I think it seems like a more fair way, but the bottom line is that no, there shouldn't be any federal income tax. And again, you go back to the founding of the Federal Reserve, hand in hand with income tax. That's where this country went off the rails in a big, disastrous way. A little over 100 years ago, went off the rails. And let's get back to the basics. Get rid of the IRS, eliminate the federal income tax. And guess what? If you can print money at will, why are you hounding the hell out of the people, and why are you raising taxes all the time? No one. It's very rare. I mean, it happened in the last administration where they lowered the taxes. And you know what's funny, Jeff? This administration, that one of their promises was, we are going to get rid of those because it benefits big business. But funny thing is, 2+ years in, they haven't got rid of it. Why? Because they know it would be disastrous to be able to hurt people.
Yeah, 100%, Chip. And you bring up a really solid point. For years, they've been talking about the flat tax or the fair tax, and really abolishing the way the IRS works because there's too much overreach. And now we're seeing it again. We've seen it within the crypto space. We saw it within all the cash apps, right? So they came out and said if you had transacted more than $600 or received more than $600 on a cash app, you have to report it. And the Cash App has to report it. And so can you imagine the burden, the absolute burden that they're placing on businesses, on individuals? But do you think they care? They absolutely do not care. They give zero Fs. And it's all about undermining your ability to earn and try to advance your financial stability. If you're concerned about your financial stability, if financial stability is in the hands of the few, but yet the norm is instability, then guess who controls you? You're controlled when your financial markets are unstable. And so this is something that I really hope they can get some traction with it. If they can get a fair tax or a flat tax going, I don't see the blue team in favor of it because they're all about tax and try to impede individual liberties to build business. They love the big businesses that support them and the lobbyists that support them, but they don't like the commoner being able to elevate themselves.
Commoner. Jeff, we're just commoners at the end of the day.
We're just commoner. We're just the common man.
Just a common man and common woman. Just a bunch of slugs, Jeff.
Yeah, and Chip, you brought this up, and we talked about this. John Deaton brought this up too, that it's just a matter of time before they go after all the exchanges. And John Deaton had said, as you were commenting on before, here we go. And that's what Eleanor Terrett was mentioning on Thursday. Breaking: Genesis Trading and Gemini have been charged by the SEC with selling unregistered securities. Story developing, and then
go to hell,
she gets into it a little bit here. The SEC alleges Gemini and Genesis violated security laws through the unregistered offering of the Gemini earn lending program, which you'd mentioned. The complaint seeks permanent injunctive relief, disgorgement of ill-gotten gains, plus prejudgment interest and civil penalties. This is such an overreach of their, of their responsibility. But this is just, it's disgusting, what we're seeing. But you know what? We're also going to see a lot of individuals that are going to be held accountable for their activities, and this is just part of it. This is the undermining, but this also kind of leads into the narrative that I brought up in the beginning, Chip, that you have the SEC undermining the interest of these crypto houses, these crypto exchange companies, crypto companies, however you want to phrase it, to undermine it, to batter them down to a point where their buddies in the financial institution, lobby groups, and the banks can come in and buy these assets for pennies on the dollar and go back to controlling all financial markets. The exchanges like a Gemini or an Uphold or a Coinbase or et cetera, they all serve as a threat to the way things have been done up until this point. And so we're going to see this battle continue to be waged. But Chip, you brought up one critical point. If we get legislation passed, and it's all about whether or not the Senate has the appetite for signing off on legislation passed through the Congress, it has to go through the Senate and then the president. But if we get the clarity, all this stuff goes away.
Bye-bye. Oof. How great will that be, Jeff? I mean, the whole thing.
It'd be amazing.
And Jeff, right in line with that, the funny thing is that even here, it was last year, we had John Deaton on, I think it was November of 2022. John Deaton made a prediction back then. I know he came out with these predictions, and right after he released this, boom, we got notice of that. But this is a prediction he made a year ago. He said, I'll make a prediction. The next thing they're going to do is go sue an exchange. And if we look here to John Deaton 2023 predictions, Ripple case does not settle until after we get a decision from Judge Torres. He breaks that down a little bit further. An exchange, maybe more than one, is sued for selling unregistered securities. He posted this tweet, and then it was like an hour and a half later that we got wind of that. The tweet you just showed with Eleanor Terrett. Here we go. But just to be fair to John, he made this prediction, months ago, even last year. Investigation into SB fraud meetings uncovers bad shit. And Gensler resigns before the end of year. So this is John's predictions that he's going to resign. Now, will we get a win if Gensler is also relieved? In other words, they get him out of there, impeach him, whatever. Yeah, I mean, but the fact is it's more than likely he's expendable. He's probably going to go away. Then John Deaton commented, he said, some people are confused about my prediction that Ripple case doesn't settle until after Judge Torres renders a decision. A settlement could occur, which would eliminate any potential jury trial and also eliminate any potential appeal. So he's just saying that's his prediction, but of course that is always in the cards to happen prior to a decision. So he kind of unpacks that a little bit further. Any thoughts on this, Jeff?
Man, judgment.
Judgment. Well, it could be judgment, but also part of it could go to a jury trial as well. So
yeah. I'm hoping there'll be we don't want any kind of settlement because we need a free steak.
Yeah,
so,
I do.
I want to look forward to the steak dinner. So, that'll kind of take us off course if we have talk about settlement.
Well, like Jeff and I have said, I mean, I'll be cool with losing the steak dinner if it means, that there is a settlement and it's in Ripple. It will be in Ripple's favor because they said so. So AltarOfEgo on Twitter said, is Ripple just another money laundering operation by Thiel Inc, right? That's obviously Peter Thiel, ex-PayPal and big-time investor, is what he's identifying here. And John comes in and Deaton says, FinCEN and the Department of Justice conduct a criminal investigation without a settlement, and a third-party auditor, which was approved by the Department of Justice, provided FinCEN reports for 5 years. This was in 2015. During those 5 years, the SEC conducts a 30-month exhaustive investigation leading to an enforcement action. Ripple may be the safest to invest in. He goes on to say, thus, FinCEN and the Department of Justice have audit reports from 2015 to 2020 on every single sale of XRP, as well as all fiat deposits and withdrawals. The SEC has the evidence regarding every XRP transaction made by Ripple and its executives from 2013 to present day. That's a lot of scrutiny. It certainly is. And it does show you that after 5 years of audits and being under this massive scrutiny, not only by FinCEN, but the Department of Justice and FinCEN, both referring to XRP as a currency, Jeff. So then the SEC waltzes in after their 30-month exhaustive study. It says enforcement action. It's out of control. And this is why I want the red team to step up and do what's right. Haul that guy in there, sit his ass down, and answer some real questions. Not I don't know, I didn't know. Where are these enforcement actions coming from? Show us in black and white. Tell us which tokens you approve of and which you don't. And I want a bullshit answer that says, well, I can't get into it. Well, get into it. You're before Congress. You're testifying under oath. Answer the question. Which ones are okay? Is it just Bitcoin? Is it Bitcoin and Ethereum? Which ones have the free pass there, Gary Gensler? Pull his ass into a hearing and let's get him on the record, because when these guys go under oath, they change their tune. And we've seen other committees do this. I don't want to get into politics of it, but we had a lot of talking heads and people out there, blah, 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 talking about this. They got him behind closed doors. They got him under oath. And they said, no, that didn't happen. No, none of it happened. But then they go back out to the camera and they started expunging all of this BS. So when you put somebody under oath and you lie and you what's that called when you lie and then you perjure yourself?
You perjure.
Good, great, because now we're gonna prosecute you. You perjured yourself. You're going down hard. So get them in there, answer the questions. Don't give the softball questions, and don't be a Maxine Waters that says blows kisses out the Sam Bankman fraud. I mean, ridiculous, Jeff. Sorry, man, I got a little fired up there, but it's just insane that we always have to be on the suffering end of all this.
Well, that's right. And you know who supports all of this as well, to that point, Tom Emmer. And if you haven't seen Warren Davidson or Tom Emmer here on the chain, go to onthechain.io, do a quick search up, look for Tom Emmer, look for Warren Davidson. You can do a search for others, but we're going to look to get Warren Davidson, Tom Emmer, and hopefully even French Hill on the show here to give us some updates on what the new Congress session is all about. But here's Tom Emmer. This was on Thursday. Gary Gensler is once again late to the game, protecting no one. Quite clear that his political regulation through enforcement strategy hurts everyday Americans. And that's where Gary Gensler came out and said, we charge Genesis and Gemini for the unregistered offer. Crypto intermediaries need to comply with our securities law. This protects investors. It promotes trust in markets. It's not optional. It's the law. The thing is, there is no clarity in regards to crypto intermediaries. It doesn't exist yet. And so he's very, very succinct here. Tom Emmer says, Gary Gensler, when can we expect proactive guidance instead of leaving the industry to interpret the rules of the road through your after the fact enforcement actions? Now, I just want to comment on this here, Chip, and really, to be fair to Gary Gensler in this regard, Gary Gensler, when he was interviewed, he said, if Congress wants clear rules of the road, it's Congress, it's the ability of Congress to pass legislation and the law and the rules, right? So really, we'd throw this back to Congress and say, hey, pass Token Taxonomy Act, pass some clarity, put some positive, proactive crypto legislation in front of the Senate, in front of President, get the bill signed, then the SEC chair will actually have rules of the road to provide the guidance based on, instead of just doing what he wants. And that's exactly, unfortunately, what he's been left to. So it's not just that the industry is left to interpret the rules of the road. Gary Gensler has been left to interpret the rules of the road on his own and create whatever enforcement action he deems necessary. So I think it's going to go both ways. They're going to have to hold him accountable while they're passing some pro legislation.
Exactly. And then we got this story here. Boncryp put this up. He said, Grayscale initiated its legal proceedings against the Securities and Exchange Committee, the SEC, in October of 2022 over the rejected conversion of their GBTC into an ETF, right? And so one of the important things to note here is Grayscale replied to the SEC's rejection, saying that the regulatory body had exceeded its authority. And again, here's another instance where the Grayscale trust, Bitcoin trust, going into an ETF. So So why is the SEC even talking about this? It's not even there. And this is another thing that needs massive reform. Forget about all these government bodies. You want to get rid of the IRS, get rid of it all. Have one regulatory body that lightly regulates stuff so people don't get hurt. But I'm so sick and tired of these regulatory bodies that are going to protect us, and they never really do. And the fact is that the CFTC is the one that should be regulating crypto because it's not a security. And the SEC only does cures. What the SEC is trying to do is expand their dictatorship and what they're gonna be able to rule against. And the bottom line is they don't. So here's another instance of where they've exceeded authority. Ridiculous, Jeff.
Overstepped,
Jeff. A big step in the wrong direction. This came out. John Deaton had put this out. So other great work by CryptoLaw, but he put, I think was this last night? Yeah, it was last night. So all the Daubert Motion filings from the SEC and Ripple, including Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larson, are now posted. So you can go look through those Daubert motions. And quite honestly, the Daubert motion, all that really is it's a kind of a motion that really wants to exclude the expert testimony of the other party if it goes to a jury trial. So in the sense of where Ripple doesn't want certain stuff excluded, or the SEC wants certain stuff excluded. In other words, you know how it is. You've seen these trials on TV where if it goes to trial, they say like, well, here, I'm going to put this. Well, no, that's been excluded, so that's not part of the actual jury trial. So that's what they're attempting to do here. And there are, how many did I say? There were 13 of them. Daubert motions filed. I think there's like 10 or 12. It doesn't give the actual number there, but there's a good number of them. And we're going to read every one of them right here. No, we're not, Jeff. We're not going to do that because it's so long and lengthy and no one really wants to read it. But you guys can go read it. Go to CryptoLaw and .us, and you can read every single one of them and see them all, Jeff.
Couldn't see it.
What do you got there? What do you got? Anything?
Yeah, I'm trying to download this real quick.
Download that. I'm going to put this one up here. Here, this is funny because if you look at Decrypt had this story here about the Winklevoss twins, and if you guys know any of their backstory, they were really kind of one of the original founding members of Facebook. They did sue Facebook. They took their money. They then take their millions of dollars they got invested early into Bitcoin and became billionaires. So they, you like them, hate them, whatever about it. I mean, I don't care. But look, they saw an opportunity. They risked it. Without risk, there's no reward. You got to risk it for the biscuit, as they say, Jeff. And from Bitcoin billionaires to SEC charges, a brief crypto history of the Winklevoss twins. They said they're in a $900 million spat with the Gemini. Oh, that was, there they are right there. There they are. Co-originated, blah, 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 blah. There's one thing I want to read here. Yeah, so the charges come several weeks after the increasingly public disputes between Gemini and the DCG leadership following November's collapse of the crypto exchange FTX, which triggered this huge wave of industry contagion as funds stored in FTX were either locked away or missing. Genesis reportedly on the hook for more than $900 million worth of Gemini customer funds. And, that's bad. Bad.
Scotland is in the house.
Scotland's in the house.
So you might remember this was about 2 years ago. This Danile Attia was at a conference where they questioned Gary Gensler, and he had a really poignant question and statement for Gary Gensler, and it's kind of on this whole topic. Daniel had asked SEC Chair Gary Gensler to clarify his statements on crypto regulation at CodeCon. I think we had Daniel on the show, if you remember. It's a little while ago, if I remember correctly.
Can you make that bigger because I can't quite see it? Yeah, we did have Daniel on the show, but yeah, here's Elon. We had him on after he asked that question. So he had him right. Just so you guys know, he asked that question. We had him on the chain the next night.
Yeah. So I'm not. Hopefully.
Well, we didn't know him as Daniel. He was just. What is he here for? Elon is what I think is his. So go ahead. Let's play that video. And again, this is somebody that this is one of the first real questions that's ever been asked of Gary Gensler. It was done in a public forum, and it's like even the questions after FTX and like, hey, when you're done asking these questions, you want to come over and have dinner? I mean, these softball questions, I'm so sick and tired of them. And damn well, the red team better start asking some real questions, not these softball BS questions, Jeff.
So let me know if you can hear this.
Hi, Gary. Appreciate the.
Yeah, I can. Can you turn it up a little, or is it up all the way?
It's maxed up.
Okay, let's just be quiet. Let's listen.
All right.
Hi, Gary. Appreciate the regulation of crypto that you're pursuing. One question for you is, you've said that there can't be 5,000 to 6,000 private forms of money, referring to the approximately 6,500 tokens there are, but that's a patently false statement. Barely, the majority of those tokens are not trying to be private forms of money. So how do you reconcile that?
Well, I don't know your first name. I apologize, but I think that you raise a good point. I was using the term cryptocurrencies loosely. They're not all currencies, but I also think that each of these individual projects, if they want to compete as a form of
Lost
What
it there,
happened?
Jeff.
Yeah.
I lost the sound there. Something happened. I think it was just
Audio cut out.
It was buffering, maybe.
But I also think that each of these individual projects, if they want to compete as a form of
Nope.
Yeah, it looks like we
video-
lost the.
They killed
lost-
the video.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
They
it looks
killed the
like.
video. It's weird. Even on the tweet, when I tried to download it, it said there was no video with the tweet.
Oh, is this a deleted tweet, maybe, or something?
I don't know.
Where is that, Jeff? Let me try to
I
do that
found
too. Where is that tweet? Is it in the keep?
No, it is not.
Drop it in the
keep.
private chat over here, and just drop it in the private chat. Let me see what I can. Yeah, so but I mean, it really held. I mean, somebody, just an audience member, and Daniel's like brilliant. I love his tweets. I follow him, and he's in one of my lists, so I see what he's talking about. Dude's really cool. It's I think it's at Here for Elon. I think is his
Here for Elon. So
yeah, Here for Elon is follow him on Twitter.
this is him
He has
right
a lot of good stuff. We had him on here. He was actually at the conference. We interviewed him from the conference. He was actually sitting like there while people were walking by and stuff. So it was really cool and really great to have Daniel on there. His tweets. Why is it? Oh, he's got a little lock there. It's really odd.
Oh.
He has that lock, right? Oh, that's just
his little
his
emoji or whatever he put there.
Yeah, that's all that is. Yeah, you're right, Jeff. Were you even able to like copy the tweet or no? So you're not even able to copy the tweet. Very strange, man.
Yep.
Yeah, Twitter's been doing some strange things lately. I don't know what the deal is here. Yeah, I don't know. You can't download it. So there's something going on with that video. Because I used mine and it doesn't work either. So yeah, I don't know what's happening there.
Let me see if there's another one here.
See if there's another one down there, man.
There's another one. Let me see.
It was September 30th, 2021 is when that actually happened.
Weird. It's weird. It's like somehow the audio in that video cuts out midway. They just crushed it. Very strange.
It does the same thing on my end where it buffers. So there's something wrong with the video itself. So because I had said there, well played, Dan. I think he was at the time he was called some decentralized Dan is what he was going by. Because I see my comment in there from September 30th, 2021.
It got scrubbed. It probably did get scrubbed. They cut out the rest of it somehow.
They have 6 ways to Sunday. Isn't that what
strange.
Shimmer said to get back at you, Jeff? Isn't that what that Shimmer said?
Yep.
Just my questions. Yeah. What conference was that? CodeCon?
CodeCon.
I'm gonna see if I can find it. Well, carry on, Jeff. Let me see if I can find it from the original video. CodeCon.
See if it's out there someplace. So here's another one. Here we go. So there's so much going on here. What is this one? So here, this is, it's amazing with Gary Gensler. He's like continuously on the offense. So here's Gary Gensler finds new audience. You know where his new audience for crypto skepticism is? The U.S. Army. So
What the
so
hell?
here's the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission chair called crypto the Wild West and urged troops not to get caught up in the FOMO. So here he is bashing crypto, and he's saying, hey, you guys, maybe you're not smart enough to invest on your own. So listen to what I have to tell you. So this is just a couple days ago. The U.S. Army hosted its first Twitter Spaces event of 23 with Gensler and SEC Commissioner Caroline Crenshaw joining the discussion to provide financial advice on how and where U.S. soldiers should invest their money. Now, if I were going to bring somebody in to give some investment advice, I wouldn't want to bring in, and granted, he say, hey, the chair of the SEC, this is going to be this is a big keynote speaker. And granted, the guy made, a decent amount of money when he was in investment banking. But other than the name, the chair of the SEC or the title, I don't think he'd be my first choice to bring in as someone that invested, and granted, you want someone that's pro crypto. He comes out immediately attacks crypto. But why not bring in, like a Warren Buffett or someone that has made, billions, and can actually provide some advice. I just don't, someone that invested from the ground up and not someone that went into, investment banking. But anyhow, so Sergeant Lawrence Holmes noted there are soldiers that look for those alternative investments, such as crypto assets, asking the pair what risks there were to crypto investing. And Gensler said it's the Wild West, adding that most of these 10,000 or 15,000 tokens will fail, which, to that point, there's going to be a lot of failures out there. But it's the same thing, in the stock market, especially now. It's hard to say, where you're going to be. He said history tells us there's not much room for microcurrencies, meaning, we have the US dollar and Europe has the euro and the like. So he said he urged soldiers not to get caught up in FOMO, the fear of missing out, saying cryptocurrencies are highly speculative and non-compliant. And that's how. And so he further advised the GI to see a yield that's too good to be true. It probably is, regardless of whether it's crypto based or not, which is also, that you could say, yeah, that's true. Here, Crenshaw added to Gensler's comment saying that cryptocurrencies are noted for their scams. So, come on. This is so crazy that instead of trying to provide a balanced approach to it, they bring two naysayers into speak. They're both bashing the crypto markets. They're not looking at the positive innovation. They're not looking, talking to soldiers and saying, yeah, you guys want to come in. Here's an area to invest in. But what they should be focused on is, hey, you know what? The crypto space is at the forefront of innovation. When you guys are here in the Army, maybe think about, some of the GIs are going to have a career in the military. Some are going to have careers post-military. Some are going to get, go through the GI Bill and go to college. Some are going to get educated in tech in the Army. And so why doesn't he take that approach and say, hey, while you're here, why don't you guys look at blockchain and crypto as a post-career? Maybe look at how you guys can get involved in this new innovative financial asset class that's moving forward. Yes, today there's some high risk investing in some of the assets today. There's some very viable companies that you can look at. You obviously have to do your own research. Don't follow the FOMO. But no, he didn't take that approach. What he did, as we know, because this is who Gary Gensler is, he immediately went on the attack and belittled the entire crypto industry. He didn't focus on, hey, there are scams out there, but there's also a lot of great companies out there. No, he lumped all of them in that crypto are known for their scams. Dollars are known for their scams. People use dollars for scams. People use crypto for scams. People are going to scam regardless because, unfortunately, within human nature, there's some corrupted individuals out there. FTX, which somehow it was hidden from the people, covered up by the SEC and others, had scammed out a lot of people. Bernie Madoff, who was also a buddy, and was invited in front of the SEC and others, multiple times, and they ignored what he was doing to people. That was a big scam. Are you going to then blame dollars? Are you going to blame stocks? Are you going to blame investing because of the individual that's behind it? This is just it gets crazy. Chip, this is just, it's too much. It's too much.
Okay, Jeff, here we go.
Well, let's see if you can play it. Did you check the middle of it?
Yeah,
see if it works.
Well, because it works on our video. See, so I was looking for it everywhere, and everywhere it cut out in that video.
Oh, you went back and you found us somewhere.
This is when we had decentralized Dan on.
I think that we all want you to succeed in pursuing this regulation
Do you hear that?
Yeah.
Okay.
crypto, but some of those statements probably rip some credibility off you. So I'd ask you to sort of probably consider them more closely, because it's not like you say that like there's file storage systems such as Filecoin, which are decentralized AWS, let's say, and you're not saying that AWS or Amazon stock or Microsoft stock or Google stock are forms of money. I just think statements like that are probably ruffling feathers.
Well, I appreciate your comments, and I'll take them in the spirit.
Yeah, he appreciates the comments. Sure he does. He appreciates
So here we go. My commentary. Damn, why do I have to have commentary in this? Jeff, just shut up.
the comments.
Hang on a second. Let me see if we can go back to. Here we go.
And the spirit of the conversation, somehow we lost Jeff.
Question of all.
There he is.
What is up, man? This is.
So anyway, there he is right there. He brought him on the show right after that thing, and he's at the conference. And we got his statement.
Look at us looking at us. It's us commenting on
This
us.
is so weird, Jeff. But it's the only video. It's the only video they
Chip.
had. I'm going to try to get to the point of where he asked the question. Let's see if we can
That's
go
all.
here.
So you called.
Can you pause it for? I have to bail. Unfortunately, I got to
Into
get
that, but I like how you came out, false.
Carry on,
All right.
Chip. I'm gonna bail out. Hey, you guys are amazing, best and the brightest.
Easy.
Looking forward to Dirk on tomorrow night. But Chip is gonna bring you through the rest of this, provide some solid commentary on it. It's amazing.
Yeah, let me go ahead. I was trying to find the damn man. That's like kind of weird that I should probably take myself off here because it's really strange looking at. I was trying to find the actual bit in the video, here, because we did play the segment here. I think it might be here. Let's see. Let's see if this is it, guys.
But
He was the
I think that
he was the hero of the day. Now this is Gary. He asked the question.
Come on, damn it. Shut up, Mr. Chip.
I also think that each of these individual projects, if they want to compete as a form of money, that's unlikely. If they're competing as something else, if they're offering something to the public.
Offering something to the public, could it be a use case? Could it be storage?
So anyway, there you go. I mean, that's it. I mean, but bottom line is like, here's a guy that actually had the cojones to actually ask the question, which I have to say that I love. And that video, I can drop that in there if you guys want to watch this interview. I'll drop it into the chat right now. But if you guys want to go back and watch this one, it was a good one. We had, as he was going by then, Decentralized Dan, but at Here for Elon on Twitter, if you want to go follow him. It's pretty good. I just went ahead and dropped that sucker in there. Yeah, Doug is saying play yourself. Yeah, it's kind of weird. You guys can watch the thing. I don't the entire interview. I just don't have to get into it right now. But it was a good one. It was a good one. I almost forgot we had him on. I'm going to have to make sure that this gets into the interview portion of On the Chain, because we have some of them in there, but probably not all of them. This was from 20. When was this actually? It doesn't actually have the date on here, which I always search for the date, and I don't always see that in there. But there's some good comments in here. Ralph C said Dan got in the ring with Daddy G and knocked him out in the first round. LOL. So Liz Taylor said, "Damn, Dan, you got him. Go Dan. You screwed the rest of us." And journalist Gensler will now insist on ever being questioned to be reviewed. And now when he's out there in the public, and that's something that's pretty interesting. That actually may happen. But guys, I know Jeff had a bail, and we are a little bit over time. I was hoping to play just that little bit, but go ahead and watch that. I did drop it in the chat, and you guys can go ahead and check that out. That's really all we have to this week, guys. Come back tomorrow night. We're going to have Dirk on, founder and visionary behind Xspectre. We're going to talk a little bit about not only Xspectre as an NFT project, but really where they're going as a metaverse. The metaverse is phenomenal. As far as land and stuff, it's one of the projects that Jeff and I really love. And it's really also cool that we actually had the opportunity to meet Dirk in person after we had that last interview with both Dirk and XRPP. And it was really nice to have met in person and really talk crypto and what's the future stuff. Of course, we met Blockchain Backer and some other really fine folks. It was really, really an awesome time. So anyway, that's all I have, guys. I don't know if you have anything Hans Loaded, what are you saying? Thanks, guys. Yeah, appreciate that. Thank you. Kelly McDonald, yeah, thanks. Have a good weekend, Hans says. And guys, come back here tomorrow night when we will absolutely have Dirk on here, and we will have a lot of fun, and we'll get into it. We'll uncover what's going on and what's coming up with the X-Vector project. And it's a good one. You're not going to want to miss it. That's all I have, guys. Have a great rest of your weekend. I'll see you back here tomorrow night. Chip and Jeff out.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.